On this edition of Time About the Movies, Disney is heading back to Mars and hoping that we can finally get a movie on Mars that's actually a box office hit. We'll see if John Carter can do that. Spoiler alert, it isn't. But does that make it a bad movie? We'll talk more about that in a moment. But we have Elizabeth Olsen in a real-time horror film called Silent House. Eddie Murphy in one of his really bad comedies, maybe one of the worst ones he's done, 1,000 Words. We also have Friends with Kids, which I did not realize was the directorial follow-up for Jennifer Westfeldt after Kissing Jessica Stein, which is one of my favorite movies from 2001. We'll take a look at that, and we'll also take a look at Salmon Fishing in the Yemen with Ewan McGregor, Emily Blunt, and Kristen Scott Thomas. It's March 9th, 2012. This is Time About the Movies.
Mr. Burroughs, I'm afraid I bring you sad tidings. Your uncle's passing came as a shock to all of us. My buddy is a king. It keeps me from dancing with the one I love.
Our world is dying. Fate has brought you here, John Carter. You may be the only one who can save us.
When I saw you, I believed it was a sign that something new can come into this world.
Good and well that Disney decided to say, let's take Mars off the name of John Carter of Mars because, we've had so many bad movies that have flopped on Mars. I mean, last year we had Mars Needs Moms, Mission to Mars. Just Mars is apparently box office poison, according to the Hollywood scene, apparently, because if you put Mars on the title of a movie, chances are it's not going to do well. And apparently it applies to movies that don't have the of Mars in the title, but because, this thing still pretty much bombed at the box office. But is it a bad movie? We're going to touch on that in just a second. Welcome to Time About the Movies, though. Today we are taking a look at the 5 films released on March 9th, 2012. And our first movie is John Carter. And in this movie, you have the story of it's the first interplanetary adventure of John Carter, who, of course, is based off of a character from the Edgar Rice Burroughs novels, of course, the same guy that gave us Tarzan. And you have John Carter starring Taylor Kitsch in the title role, along with Lynn Collins, and, his attempts to mediate civil unrest amongst the warring kingdoms of Barsoom. And to be perfectly honest, I did not see this movie for the longest time ever. I didn't want to see it when it came out, even though I was curious of how Andrew Stanton would do as a live-action director after his work with many Disney Pixar movies in the past. And, people were dissing on the film, and I just had no real reason to go see the film. And I finally saw the film years later, and I'll tell you this. It may have been a bomb, but it really shouldn't have been. It wasn't a bad movie. It's not a great movie by any means, but it certainly is a lot better than people make it out to be. I mean, I didn't come out hating it like most people did. I just thought the overall final product was just simply okay. Nothing too fancy or too ridiculous to hate it. It was just a fun little B-rated action film that has its heart intentions in the right place. You can see the production value there in a lot of those scenes. But it never takes that next level to become something groundbreaking or exciting you expect from this, especially with Disney behind it. Disney has been trying so hard to create the next Pirates of the Caribbean with so many blockbusters, and this one feels like they're right on the cusp of getting there. They're right on the cusp of getting it done, and then it completely bombs at the box office. This thing cost $350 million to make and had a budget like $263 million, and it ended up resulting in a $200 million write-down for Disney when they the thing only brought back $284 million worldwide. I mean, and you can clearly see why in the script. And the script has a lot of good people behind it. You know, you've got, you know, Jim Morris, who wrote for... I'm sorry, I read that wrong. But, you know, Mark Andrews, Michael Chabon, you know, Lindsay Collins, who produced Inside Out, also did this movie. Jim Morris, who worked on a number of Pixar movies. The effort is there, but the script is about as predictable and as cliched riddle as you can get. And it runs way too long. It's over 2 hours long, but they pad it out with stuff that's not exciting whatsoever. But... if anything, I'll say it's not a great movie, but I still kind of enjoyed it. It tries to do something unique and different at times, but it never does enough to make it stand out on its own. I mean, it's certainly better than something like a Green Lantern movie, which you could definitely see the similarities to Green Lantern in this movie. This one was at least trying, but they should have tried a lot more to make it stand out more. Sadly, it was really one of Disney's biggest flops at the time. I mean, there was a lot of movies that were putting out that were actually becoming hits, but, you know, just like this and Mars Needs Moms, big box office bombs, and essentially kind of sent Andrew Stanton back to the animation realm where he thrived there. So, take that for what you will. So that's John Carter. So let's go ahead and move on to our next movie. It's Elizabeth Olsen in her first big leading role in a mainstream movie. This is Silent House.
How long's it been since you were out here? A long time. My dad's fixing the house up to sell it. I heard something upstairs.
Have a look.
Daddy? Dad?
Oh my God. Hey, what did they do? I'm gonna go get help.
Why are you doing this to us?
Silent House. Starts March 9th.
Oh God, it's Jehovah's Witnesses. Run for your life, Elizabeth Olsen. I apologize for that, but, yeah, this is a weird movie, man. Like, the trailer, you know, the big selling point of the trailer was the scene where, you know, Elizabeth Olsen's in the car. She looks back to see if someone's behind her, and there's nobody there. And then all of a sudden, she turns around. She's screaming because she sees somebody in front of her, and I could not figure out what she was even yelling about. Like, you can't even see the entity in in the various scenes that I've tried to look at. I even tried looking it up before I watched this again, before I got ready to talk about this again. And I've tried to watch the trailer again to see if I could figure it out. You can't figure it out. Well, you can't figure it out. Like, you can't really see anything. I don't know if it's just because I'm watching it on a computer screen or I'm watching it on a television screen. I even had a Blu-ray. I think it was End of Watch that had that trailer on there. I could still never figure out what the hell she was even screaming at. But it's been a long time since I've seen this movie, but it is an intriguing concept overall. You've got Elizabeth Olsen starring as a young woman who's terrorized in her family vacation home while cleaning the property with her father and uncle. And this is supposedly a real-time-esque horror film similar to something like Alfred Hitchcock's Rope, which is a fun idea overall. It's a good idea overall. A movie like this could be really entertaining. Unfortunately, the script really is the biggest downfall of the movie, especially the final 15 minutes, where, you know, the big reveals come out, and when you see what the big twist is, it's just kind of like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Like, you were on a roll with something beforehand, and then this is how you're gonna end it? With this? And God bless Elizabeth Olsen. She's trying her best to hold it together, but the last 15 minutes is really where the movie just completely falls apart. The ending is so poorly put together. They waste a lot of effort and talent of everybody involved in here, and you expect so much more from it, but no, it takes the gimmicky route. It tries to be daring and brave. Well, no, it's very predictable. Like, you know how bad it is? Cinema Score gave it an F. That means people who saw the movie rated it an F. One other movie did that in 2012, and that was The Devil Inside. Well, this one certainly isn't as bad as The Devil Inside, but it certainly is a movie that will make you say, you gotta be fucking kidding me with that ending. Like, it's a terrible, terrible ending to a movie that had so much promise before it, and then just completely just came cratering down with the final 15 minutes. And just like, what a wasted opportunity, man. What a wasted opportunity for everybody involved in this movie. Silent House, this whole movie should have just stayed silent until they wrote a better script. So, you know who else was remaining silent this weekend? Eddie Murphy. Let's talk about 1,000 Words.
When it came to his family,
Wednesday, Daddy and me class.
Hey, how's my favorite client?
Jack was all talk.
You only have 1,000 words left, and then I can die.
Now,
Jack, what? All of my talking is making you sick.
he'll have to make every word
You
count.
think I'm a fox? How about this? She thinks you're the devil.
You jackass.
Eddie Murphy,
We're not what we used to be. Here, this'll spice things up. Talk dirty to me, Jack.
Wow.
1,000 words, rated PG-13.
Oh, Kerry, why? Kerry Washington, why did you do this? You're better than this. Eddie Murphy is better than this. What the hell was this movie? I'll tell you what it was. It was a movie that was sitting on the shelf at Paramount for 4 years. But then Eddie Murphy was going to host the Oscars, and it was supposed to be this big comeback trail for him with Tower Heist and the Oscars. And then Brett Ratner had to open his fucking mouth and take Eddie Murphy with him because Brett Ratner was producing the Oscars that year. And he said, well, if I'm going, I'm taking the black guy with me. Come on, Eddie, let's go. And Eddie Murphy followed, and of course his career, and of course for the rest of the decade, Eddie Murphy was stuck in limbo because of that. But yeah, this movie was supposed to come out to help build the hype for that. But yeah, let's be honest, this was sitting on a shelf for 4 years at Paramount. One of the executives looked at it and said, "What's this movie here?" Well, Eddie Murphy's coming back. He's got Tower Heist coming out. He's going to host the Oscars. Put it out there. Who cares if it's not? Who cares if it's not a good movie? We do, because we have to sit through it, especially me. But it has a good premise to it. I mean, Eddie Murphy stars as this guy who finds an unusual tree in his yard after an encounter with a spiritual guru played by Cliff Curtis. After discovering that with every word he speaks, a leaf drops from the tree, he refuses to speak at all because if all the leaves drop, he's gonna die. As silence will keep the tree and him alive. However, is electric viewed as it affects his work, his marriage, and his friendships? Can he figure out an alternative method of survival, or does he just need to live the rest of his life to the fullest? Well, actually, there is an alternative here, and if you'll give me 1 second, I'll go ahead and tell you what that is. I won't actually tell you, but I will do this. Hope you enjoy this dead air that I've got for you here. Hope you enjoyed that, but yeah, here's what Eddie Murphy should be doing throughout this movie. I just completely gave you the real thing that would have happened in this goddamn movie. Oh, slam dunk. But yeah, this whole movie could easily be avoided if he just had a notebook to write everything down, or just tell people, you know, I've got laryngitis. Write down, hey, I've got laryngitis. I've lost my voice. Yeah, easy fix right there. But the problem with the movie is that we've got to go into this territory that we've seen done to death in so many other movies where everybody has to act stupid, nobody can think straight, and they have to come up with the silliest answers ever because that's the appeal for comedy. And yeah, it's a complete, utter failure on every single level. They take a really good concept and just completely destroy it from the get-go. And I said at the beginning, like, Kerry Washington was coming off, she was gonna have a big year with this year because Scandal was coming on the air, and that was gonna become a big hit for ABC, and showed that, hey, she's actually a really damn good actress and really has a lot of worth in the world. She's completely wasting it here by being the person who has to be the one that has to play the stock character where, you don't love me anymore. It's just like, shut up. Like, I hate characters that I hate the badly written characters like this. Like, the dude is literally going to die if he keeps talking. And yet nobody can say that, but just write it down. Just write it down. Like, seriously, write it down and just get it over with. But I'm sorry, we can't do that because we wouldn't have a movie. That, according to our logic, you had this sitting on a shelf for 4 years. You spent $40 million on this pile of garbage. Fuck you. You don't get no sympathy from me with this movie whatsoever. You wasted all this talent on here. You got Clark Duke, you got Cliff Curtis, Allison Janney, Ruby Dee, Jack McBrayer, John Witherspoon. So many good people in this movie, and you wasted it on this pile of garbage. Like, this is unbelievably bad on so many levels. And this is the last thing Brian Robbins did as a director before he eventually went on to become one of the big guys at Paramount. And this actually was Eddie Murphy's last movie he made for 4 years. This movie literally killed his career for 4 years before he eventually came back in Mr. Church and essentially kind of began his latest attempt to bring back his career. And something I'm just noticing here as I'm looking at this, one of the producers on this is Nicolas Cage, which I think is kind of interesting because that makes me think that this movie was probably written for him, but they eventually basically gave it to Eddie Murphy because Nicolas Cage was obviously picking some really bad scripts of his own, which this should have been a match made in heaven. Two guys who can't pick good scripts, and they pick this pile of garbage here. But the biggest problem with the movie is the premise. I mean, there's potential for a really good premise here, but when you have Eddie Murphy, who is known for making you laugh with the way that he talks, having him completely silent, that was the biggest mistake this movie made right from the get-go. And a plot that could easily be fixed with one thing. Just have him have a notebook, have him have some paper, write the shit down, and then your whole movie could have been absolutely avoided. Like, this movie was awful. This was one of the worst comedies I've ever seen in my life. A waste of everybody involved in it. It's not funny. The fantasy elements are completely garbage. There is potential for a good movie here, but sadly, the film takes the easy way out. It's easily the worst thing Eddie Murphy has made, and that's saying a lot. This is the guy that risked an Oscar for Dreamgirls to do Norbit. This is the guy that made Imagine That. This is the guy that made Meet Dave. This is the guy that wasted all these years to give us the Coming to America sequel nobody was asking for with Coming to America. This is the worst thing he's done. Plain and simple, no question about it. I hate this movie so much. This is absolute horse shit. Plain and simple. So, if anything, the people that really need to shut up are the people who said yes to this. Just shut up, man. Just shut up. I mean, I could play that song right now, but, copyright reasons. So, shut up, just shut up, shut up. Just like what people want me to do right now. Okay, I'll shut up and move on to the next movie. A much better movie, a much better comedy than 1,000 Words. Friends with Kids.
Adam Scott and Jennifer Westphal are terrific.
Have a baby. I don't think that two friends having a kid together is the worst thing that I ever heard.
It's the worst thing I ever. I will be 100% committed half the time.
John Hamm, Kristen Wiig, Maya Rudolph, and Chris O'Dowd are just as funny as they were in Bridesmaids. Friends with Kids, rated R.
Wow, I got a kiss.
Starts Friday.
It's quite interesting that they actually do bring up the fact that half the cast is from Bridesmaids, because, controversial opinion, I like this a whole lot better than Bridesmaids. I think this is the better Bridesmaids movies than the Bridesmaids film we got last year. Try saying that 3 times fast, but this is Friends with Kids, and you have Julie and Jason played by Adam Scott and also, I believe, Jennifer Westphal, who directed this movie. More on that in a second. They've been best friends for years with no romantic interest in each other. He sleeps with someone new every few days, and she's looking for Mr. Right. Now in their 30s, they notice that their friends seem to lose all their good qualities when they have children. Children rearing and the spark of Eros doesn't seem to coexist. So they decide to have a child together, share in child rearing, but pursue their own romantic lives. Things go well until he meets Mary Jane and she meets Kurt. Both seem like perfect mates. What could possibly go wrong? Well, we wouldn't have a movie if that wasn't the case. And Mary Jane, in particular, is played by... I can't find the name. Mary Jane is played by Megan Fox, and Kurt is played by Edward Burns. In addition to Adam Scott and Jennifer Westphal, as I mentioned before, you got 4 of the stars of Bridesmaids, John Hamm, Kristen Wiig, Maya Rudolph, and Chris O'Dowd among the cast as well. And it's notable because this is Jennifer Westphal's first directorial effort since Kissing Jessica Stein, which was one of my favorite movies from 2001. 2001 or 2002. I could have sworn it was 2001. But one of those years. It's one of my favorite movies from that year in particular. And so I was really looking forward to watching this, and I really am glad I found it. It was one of those smaller movies you had to rush, you had to go find it somewhere, and I really am glad I did, because it is a really, really entertaining movie. It's a film that is very well done. The acting overall is top-notch. Everybody in here works very well. Megan Fox gets a chance to show that she's not just the sex pot, she was in Transformers and Jonah Hex. She actually gets a chance to act in this one, and she's not asked to do a whole lot, but certainly is a lot better than some of the other films she's been involved in, per se. But, yeah, the movie overall is very funny, and it's really good to see that Westphal has not lost a beat as a director. And, you know, she makes a movie that's just as good as Kissing Jessica Stein is. I mean, Kissing Jessica Stein, I think, is a much better movie. But this one is right up there in terms of great entertainment value all around. The acting overall is great. The comedy is really good. It's a nice slice of life, real life movie that people can look at and have a good time with it. It's a very fun film. I enjoy it a lot. Friends with Kids is one you should definitely check out. Plain and simple. So let's go ahead and take a look at our last movie that we have here, and that is Salmon Fishing in the Yemen.
We need a good news story from the Middle East, a big one. We need it now.
I have a client who has indicated a desire to introduce salmon fishing into the Yemen.
This thing is a bloody joke.
You must have faith, Dr. Alfred.
Do you think it's going extremely well?
I think this crazy enterprise might just come off.
It's beautiful.
Yes, yes. Salmon Fishing in the Yemen, in theaters March 9. Ready.
Which is funny because when you think of this movie, most people would think of this.
These performances, the Emily Blunt.
Salmon
fishing in the Yemen.
Emily Blunt, always beautiful, always amazing.
And when the salmon are coming out,
when the bad guy comes,
and the salmon's like, and
you're in Yemen.
And you're in Yemen.
As cringy as that may look, that bit's actually funny from the 2013 Golden Globes, where they're talking about, you know, the nominees, and they're doing this bit here, and yeah, like I said, it can be cringy at times, but it's worth it for the comedy from not just them, but from everybody in the audience. Specifically, that's where the Tommy Lee Jones meme of him looking like he wants to go ahead and kill everybody in the room because he's so uninterested in what's going on. That's where that came from. But yeah, it doesn't say a lot when that's the most memorable thing about the movie in general, but the movie itself isn't bad overall. You got a fisheries expert, played by Ewan McGregor, who's recruited by a consultant to help realize the Sheikh's vision of bringing the sport of fly fishing to the Yemen desert, initiating an upstream journey of faith to make the impossible possible. This is written by Simon Beaufoy and also features the direction of Lasse Hallström, two capable writers and directors coming together here, and a film that is it's kind of a nice slice of life, simple movie. There's no really big stakes overall. It's a very quirky film. It's a film that works because you do like the chemistry between the stars. Ewan McGregor and Emily Blunt work well off each other. Kristen Scott Thomas is really good in here. It's a nice little comfort food movie. It's a type of film where the stakes aren't really high in general. You're looking at these beautiful landscapes of the deserts and all that, and you do get involved with everybody's intentions of what they're trying to do here. Like, you really do get invested with it per se, and I think there is a lot to admire about the film in the fact that it's just a little film where there's not really a whole lot of big stakes, but what's worth it in the end is the overall enjoyment factor of what you get from the film itself. I think it's a very solid film, a very entertaining film, very underrated, honestly, and probably one of the better CBS films have ever done, per se, because, yeah, we've looked at some of their movies over the last couple of years. We've not found a lot of big winners overall, but this might be their best one to this point. I'd have to double-check again just to make sure, but I could have sworn that was it. I'm pretty sure, but there might have been maybe one more that I'm missing here. Now I'm curious. Let me double-check here. I've had a couple movies that I didn't hate. Faster, The Mechanic. We just talked about The Woman in Black, so maybe they are starting to turn the tide here a little bit here. Maybe I'm just overthinking it, but this is probably the first one that I would say that is definitely one of the stronger films they've done. But they would get better as the decade goes on, so take that for what you will. So anyway, yeah, that's Salmon Fishing in the Yemen. And thus, with all that said, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies. A pretty good week coming up next time around. 3 movies, including a big comedy hit, and 2 underrated little gems you might be unfamiliar with. We've got Channing Tatum and Jonah Hill starring in 21 Jump Street, directed by Phil Lord and Chris Miller, which turned out to be one of the big comedy surprises of the year, and one of the big surprises of all time. I mean, who would have thought a 21 Jump Street movie in 2012 would be one of the best comedies you'll ever see? But we also have Will Ferrell starring in a Spanish comedy, Casa de mi Padre. We'll take a look at that one, and we'll also take a look at the latest film from the Duplass brothers with Jason Segel and Ed Helms among the cast, Jeff Who Lives at Home. So 3 films to take a look at next time around, and we will delve into those coming up on the next episode. That'll be tomorrow. So with all that said, thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please go ahead and hit that like button, that subscribe button, and that notification button. Also, don't forget to check out our playlist, and don't forget to check out the last episode we did. So with all that said, whether it's in the past, the present, or the future, I will see you at the movies. Take care.